When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs. Wasn't that an amazing 200th episode that we did? Wow, that was just over the top. So amazing. Thank you so much to Joel and Julie for showing up big time, giving us all the fun we could possibly have. They are both the epitome of what fun in life and business is about. So I can't thank them enough for everything that they contributed in episode 200. And now we're moving to episode 201. So let me tell you, the fun does not need to stop. And today I wanted to ask you a question. Are you and your business in a transition? Do you know how to turn roadblocks into building blocks? Have you done that? Are you with someone that can assist you in doing that? Are you facing a roadblock right now in your business? Are you transitioning and wanting to possibly pivot in your business or sell your business? Today is going to be a full conversation on all of these avenues as we are visiting with Patty Block. She is going to be bringing us everything we need to know from the Block group on how to do that and to identify if that is where you are at in your business. But before we get to Patty, I certainly want to thank today's sponsor of episode 201, Peaceful Living. Why do we allow stress to compound in our lives, affecting our sleep and our daily rituals? Well, the truth is we all live with stress, but imagine what it would feel like to not suffer from stress. Are you ready to feel better, sleep better, and change your overall relationship with tension? Peaceful Living can bring you more peaceful moments into your day. Peaceful Living offers simple tools, live stream and on-demand classes, and a customized self-care success plan. Imagine if you had simple ways to slow down and restore your energy without taking big chunks of time away from your schedule. We know it's possible, and we're here to help. And the founder, Roberta Hughes, will be your guide each step of the way. So visit Peaceful Living at the link below to begin your journey with a free membership. Use code LEAP to receive your first month for free. Thank you so much, Roberta and Peaceful Living, for that wonderful offer to our listeners. All right, let's jump in with Miss Patty Block. She's a business advisor, a transition expert, author, and speaker. Since 2006, she's worked with women business owners who are experts in their fields to transition to their third act when they're ready to do the work they've always longed to do. These women have built profitable and valuable businesses, but instead of feeling like there's something missing, they're feeling like there's something more. In her best-selling book, Your Hidden Advantage, Unlock the Power to Attract the Right Fit Clients and Boost Your Revenue, Patty reveals a new perspective and proven practical solutions guiding women to unleash their inner power to run their business with more confidence, profit, and joy. Patty's passion and experience as a business advisor and owner, lobbyist, political consultant, and nonprofit executive comes full circle as she turns roadblocks into building blocks for women-owned businesses. Patty, welcome to today's show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
It is going to be a great episode because we have not ever had this subject about talking about transitioning out of businesses. And I know I recently have sold a part of a business that I own. And I will tell you that there's nothing that feels better when you build something and sell it for value.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Go ahead, Patty.
And there are so many women who don't believe they can sell their companies. And so we can talk further about that because that's part of my mission is to raise the awareness that you really have built something of value and others will see that And how do you actually make that happen in terms of how you're exiting your company, whether or not you're choosing to, and then how you figure out what is your third act? What do you want to do now? Because very few women that I talk to want to retire. We always want to go and do something else.
Of course. Now, in 2006, you took a big leap into your third act as a single mom of 3 kids with no financial support. I was a single mom of 2 kids with no financial support. So I can understand the burden, the risk, the a feeling of uneasiness. And so you're saying you were so grateful to what your business evolved today. What got you through that when you decided to take that leap as a single mother without the financial backing? What was going through your mind at that time? We never forget because I've been there. It's part of who you are.
You're right. And it was a really difficult journey, but I also believe I had to be there to get here. And here is fabulous. So what was really going through my mind, and what happened was I had a business that I had built over 8 years, focused on political consulting and lobbying. I loved it. It was fascinating, and I'd never do it again. But But all of a sudden, I was 35 years old, had this thriving business, 3 little kids at home, and a surprise divorce, and realized very quickly that I needed to stop traveling. I needed to be home to stabilize things for the kids. At that time, my youngest was about 2, and he just turned 32. So I have now accomplished what I set out to do, which was to focus on raising good humans, and everything else, all the stress, all the anxiety, everything else I could deal with, as long as I focused on taking care of my kids and providing for us financially as well as emotionally and logistically. So that is what I did. Excuse me. And it never once crossed my mind that I could sell my political consulting firm. Never once. I just thought, well, I have to close my company and get a job because I needed health insurance for the kids. And at that time, you couldn't go out and buy health insurance. So that was really what was going through my mind is, I'll start my company again when my kids are older and more independent. And so I closed my company. It's part of what motivates me now to help women understand that when you close the doors, you are leaving all that value and the potential wealth building ability. You are leaving all that behind. And I did what I needed to do. I got a wonderful job with an international school and was director of development and then became director of operations. So waiting for my kids to get older and more independent, I then took that leap in 2006 because I knew this was the work I wanted to do. I wanted to be that resource for other women business owners. I wanted to help women understand that we all deal with transitions on a regular basis, and some are life-changing. And exiting your business is one of those. So helping women make that transition, figure out what they really want, what their purpose is. So I work with a lot of experts, accountants, attorneys, engineers, and I think of my business life as a play in 3 acts. So you finish school, you go out and you get a job, and you over-deliver and you deal with the anxiety and stress because you think that's the way it's supposed to be. And then many of us go out in our second act, we start our own business, which is exactly what I did. Started my political consulting business, and you learn everything the hard way. I didn't know how to price my services or sell my services. I was a really good consultant and eventually added lobbying to that. All of that was great, but I didn't know where there were resources to help me build the business part of it. So I learned everything the hard way, and you deal with the anxiety and stress, and then you pile on top of that being a single mom. And so that configuration in your second act is when you are most likely to generate a lot of revenue, because you're building your business around your expertise and what you were trained to do, right? Which is all great.
I think I'm in my second act. That's where I'm at right now. I'm moving to my
Right.
third act, Patty, though. I swear. I'm moving to my third act. We're going to have to talk about
Right.
that in a minute. Okay. So I get it. Now we're in the second act. I love this. This is so great.
Right. And so what happens is in your second act, you have figured out how to run your business. You are generating a lot of revenue and you've built your revenue engine, which is really important in terms of value. But it's not the only thing that determines the value. And again, that's where, as women, we often don't know what is it that a potential buyer of our business is going to value. So we fall into these pitfalls and traps that make it extremely difficult for us to have a successful exit. It's what I call an elegant exit. So that's really where I specialize, is helping women become exit ready, build the value of their company from an operations and financial standpoint, and then transition into your third act, which again is doing that work you've longed to do. Sometimes it's creative. It's not focused on what we were trained to do and where we built our wealth. But if you can sell your company in your second act, you then are building wealth and you can use those funds in your third act. Then it becomes more about purpose and less about a paycheck. So that's where I focus. And for me, it is very important that I get the message out, of course, about the ability to build wealth through you. Because I really believe that wealth in the hands of women elevates society as a whole.
For sure. For sure. Research has shown that. Statistics show that for sure. So now we're in our second act, and a lot of women and men listening to this are at a place, maybe they're still in their first act, but we just talked about moving and shifting to the second act. And then moving into the third act, you talk about doing things that are their passion or that light them up or that is really it's not about what they were trained and what their skill sets are. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So lots of people have secret desires and they often don't even tell anybody because they think it sounds silly or you can't make any money doing that. Right. And we all know that being in business is about making money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's called a hobby. But very often people want to turn their hobbies into a business. And that's what I see very frequently. Or sometimes they've noticed a gap in the market somewhere, especially in their original industry. They've seen where something's not working as well as it should, or people are asking for things that are not available. And sometimes that's where they shift in their third act to filling that market need. So, but because we don't talk about it, and we sometimes think it's silly or not relevant or not important, we harbor those desires and we don't act on them. And we think, oh, I can't really make money that way. Or, I've built my reputation in this way, so doing this thing doesn't feel right. And a lot of what you discover in the journey of exiting is as you leave your second act, you start getting clearer and clearer about what you really want and why you want it and when you want it. And that creates the elegant exit so that I think a lot of people don't realize how many options and choices you have as you exit. And your exit could be 5 years, 10 years down the line. It's not that it's imminent, but you do need to plan ahead for it in order to build the value so that if you want to sell your company or pass it to an employee or sell it to maybe a group of employees or a family member, that you have that value built in and you've also built it in such a way that others can take it and run with it.
That is the important thing. And I've seen so many businesses in my years of franchising. I think that's why I'm so studious with processes and procedures and documentation and organization. And that's just also to save us. Think of having a team that's working with you, and then little by little, they turn over and you have a new team come in. If you don't have those processes and procedures in place, those SOPs written, you're kind of having to stop what you're doing and training from scratch all over again and repeating what you had done years before. And it shouldn't be that way. It should just be available so that it's streamlined for the next person that comes in. And, you can't franchise a model of a business unless you have something that's duplicatable over and over and over again, very easily duplicatable. And I think that's the importance that we're talking about here is if you are organized and you have all of that, the value increases for that business that you're selling to another person. So what I hear you saying, Patty, is that you prepare uh, business owners for that transition. They might be facing a roadblock right now. You're really going to help them look at turning that into a building block. So you're not working with startups. You're mainly working with individuals that are already seasoned business owners, and in their peripheral, they have an idea that they're going to transition, that there will be a sale, an exit, and they really are looking for you to help them position their business at the highest value. Is that correct?
That's exactly right.
Wonderful.
And also, you have to keep in mind that the skills that brought you to where you are different than the skills you need to go through a successful exit.
Mm-hmm.
And you've never been through that before. So because of that, having an advocate who's by your side, who's knowledgeable and experienced, is worth its weight in gold.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so that you don't fall into these complicated issues when around an exit or a transaction when you're selling your company. There's tons of pitfalls. And I've seen it because I've been doing this for almost 20 years. And especially for women, it drives me crazy that so many people get taken advantage of. And everybody's taking a piece of the pie from a business sale and not necessarily working for the advantage of the business owner.
Yeah.
And that's where I am very passionate and a little angry, as you can probably hear, because I see so many women who get taken advantage of, and they think it's a great deal. But when we start breaking it down, it's really not.
Yeah.
And so negotiating terms and figuring out the best way forward, again, going back to that elegant exit idea of what is it you want? Why do you want it? And when do you want it? And how do you put the pieces together so that you can achieve all of those things?
So does your book, Your Hidden Advantage, is that like a manual, or does it go through all of these pieces that you're talking about as like a guidebook for someone if they wanted to just start with tapping, kind of putting their toe into the water to have a consideration or possibly explore that?
Yes, from the standpoint of the book focuses on how to price for value and how to attract right fit clients, because the biggest value driver is consistent, predictable revenue. And when you have built that, you are starting with the value. Now, there's lots of other things that factor in, like your intellectual property can be very valuable to a potential buyer. And you can choose whether or not you want to sell that, because you don't have to sell it. Excuse me. So you have choices. You have more power than you think you do when you are positioning your company for your exit and ultimately if you want to sell it. So that's really the focus that I bring is how do you prepare your company for the highest value? And to your point about being ready so that even if it's not a third-party buyer and it's somebody closer to you, they really can take the reins and know how to keep the business successful. So you have more power than you realize. And one of the focuses of the book, actually the framework of the book, is built around the broken cookie effect. So I wanted to share that with you for a moment because it really informs everything in your business and sometimes everything in your life.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, my mom used to make these fabulous cookies. The whole house smelled good. It was warm. The cookies were gooey. And all my life, I watched my mom eat the broken cookies. But it wasn't until I was a teenager that I even thought to ask her, why do you only cookies? Do they taste better? And she laughed and said, no, I eat the broken cookies, so you can have the whole ones. And that memory came rushing back to me years ago when I was struggling to put words around this pattern that I had seen. And this image of my mom eating the broken cookies popped in my head. All of a sudden, I realized that's what we as women are doing in our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
We are following the spirit of our role models, that spirit of self-sacrifice that we saw in our moms and our grandmothers, and we're bringing that right into our business. It's what I call the broken cookie effect, and it's when everyone around us, our staff, our clients, our families, everybody gets the whole cookie, and we live on crumbs. And the first place I saw this manifest was in pricing. That we undervalue ourselves, we underprice our services, and then we overdeliver.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to be profitable when you do that.
Yeah.
And as your company grows in terms of your clients, your staff, your processes, you become less and less profitable because you are continually underpricing and over-delivering.
Mm-hmm.
That's the broken cookie effect. So I saw it with pricing first, and that motivated me to write the book and talk about the broken cookie effect as this framework. Then I started seeing how it manifested in so many other ways, very dramatically in that transition from your second to your third act. And the idea that you can sell your company, that someone else would value what you've built.
Yeah.
So few women really believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the broken cookie effect as well.
Yeah.
So all of those things start to manifest. And I've seen it so much in terms of exit and also not thinking you can negotiate, thinking that you have power, thinking, all of those things. So a lot of what happens in this elegant exit is shifting the way you think, the way some of your beliefs, especially around the broken cookie effect, because why shouldn't you have the whole cookie?
Mm-hmm.
You've worked really hard. You've built your company. You've created jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You've served your clients so well. And that's true of all my clients and colleagues. We pride ourselves on the quality of work that we do and how we take care of our clients. Why shouldn't you have the whole cookie?
Yeah, I agree with that because the whole cookie's so much better than just the crumbs, ladies.
Exactly.
I'm just saying. So you deserve it. You're worthy of it. And you absolutely should be looking at a possible transition in your business if you're ready. And the only way you're going to know you're ready is if you have a conversation with someone like Patty to really, she can dive in and ask those questions that are going to challenge you in your current business to know if you are ready for that type of transition. So Patty, I'm so grateful that you are what I would call the hidden advantage out there, and we need to get more visibility for your brand out there at the Block Group. So if you're a female and you're listening to this, first of all, I definitely want you to click on the link below and go grab a copy of that book that we talked about. But I also, there's an assessment that we have available for you, Discover Your Exit Readiness Index. And that assessment is a link that we have below. It's she-exits.com. Did you want to tell us a little bit about that, Patty, before we close out today?
Sure. So there's no cost, no obligation in taking the assessment. The idea is I kept getting the same questions over and over and over. How do I know? How do I know if I'm ready? How do I know what to do? How do I know how to even evaluate the value of my company? And a lot of times people, goes back to being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
People will sell you a business valuation, may cost you $15,000 or $20,000, and it's going to be inaccurate within 6 months. Plus, if you do that before you've actively and intentionally built the value, you're just wasting money and time. And it's stressful to go through all that. Everything you have to provide for evaluation is too early in the process. So that's why I put together the Exit Readiness Index in response to those questions of how do I know if I'm ready?
Yeah.
And that's what you'll find if you take the assessment, and it'll give you some ideas of where you may have gaps in building value.
I love that. All right, ladies, she-exits.com is available at the link below. You can also reach Patty at theblockgroup.net and connect with her directly. Message her on LinkedIn at Patty Block. You can also find her on Facebook, as well as Patty's book that we talked about, yourhiddenadvantage.com. And that's going to be where you're going to find Patty's book. Patty, it has been just a true pleasure having you and your expertise and knowledge and resources on today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been just a true pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Listeners, I just want to remind you, after hearing all of this today, you're the only you that's ever been. You are for sure the only you that will ever be. And your expertise and your ideas and that business that you built, it's worth something. And we want to make sure that as you're moving from your second to your third act, that you are getting the value of what you built. Please, please, please do not walk away and think you just have to close a business because it's worth nothing before taking this assessment, before having a conversation with Patty Block. Please make sure that you do that. And Patty, thank you again for just the wisdom that you shared and for being so noble and so brave in taking that leap to being a single mother. And now those 3 children are business owners. So congratulations, as they're in their 30s as business owners. They definitely got that guidance, an example from their own mother who decided she was going to eat the full cookie and not the crumbs. So thank you, Patty. And to our listeners, thank you again. Don't forget, until next time, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.